Hi, I'm Kath from Whole Healthy Me, and today we're talking about something that most of us are exposed to every single day, often without even thinking about it: EMFs, or electromagnetic fields. Now, this topic can become very extreme online very quickly, and I want to approach it in a calm, balanced, and practical way. Technology is part of modern life. There's no getting around that. Most of us use phones, Wi-Fi, laptops, Bluetooth devices, AirPods, smartwatches, and screens every day. So I'm not here to tell you to move into the mountains and throw your phone away. It's not practical. But I do think we need to acknowledge something important. Our brains and our nervous systems were never designed for this constant stimulation, constant connectivity, and constant exposure to devices. And while the research around EMFs is still evolving, many people notice very real symptoms associated with excessive screen time and technology overload. Things like mental fatigue, brain fog, poor focus, sleep disruption, anxiety, headaches, eye strain, feeling wired but tired, nervous system overwhelm. And this can show up in ways like I struggle to fall asleep, or I wake up in the night and I can't get to sleep again, or I just feel unsettled. And interestingly, sometimes it's not just the EMFs themselves, it's also the lifestyle patterns surrounding modern technology. Constant notifications, the dopamine overload, the lack of stillness, the blue light exposure, the pressure to always be available. Our brains are essentially being overstimulated all day long. And I think many people can feel that intuitively. So today I want to talk less about fear and more about creating healthier rhythms around technology to support the brain and the nervous system. If you're one of those people that has that notification on your phone every time a message comes through, this is for you. So the first thing that I think we should talk about is reducing the unnecessary exposure. So you do not need your phone on your body 24 hours a day. In fact, whenever possible, your phone should be as far away from you as possible. So simple habits around this can make a surprisingly big difference. Firstly, try not to sleep with your phone under your pillow or right next to your bed. You want to have your phone as far away from you as possible. So if possible, place it across the room, switch it to airplane mode while sleeping if you are not expecting any emergency calls, put it in another room even. So what I like to do is now charge it in a completely different space to where I am. It's forced me to not have my phone next to me at night. Your bedroom should ideally become a recovery space for the brain and the nervous system. So your brain starts realizing your bedroom is a safe space. Another helpful habit is reducing Bluetooth exposure where practical. So, for example, if you spend hours a day on calls, alternating between speakerphone and wired headphones can reduce how much direct exposure surrounds the head all day. So I only call on the speaker, or I have wired headphones. I only use wireless headphones if I'm traveling. So again, it's not perfection, just awareness and balance. The next major piece is blue light and screen overload. So many people are spending 10 to 14 hours a day looking at screens. Just think about that. That's unbelievable. So if you're sitting on a computer all day at work and then you're looking at your phone outside of work hours or even during work hours, think of how many hours that adds up to. Artificial light at night suppresses melatonin production, and melatonin is incredibly important not only for sleep, but also for brain recovery, mitochondrial health, and antioxidant protection. So one of the simplest habits you can introduce is dimming lights and reducing screen exposure in the evening. Even something as simple as avoiding scrolling for an hour before bed can dramatically improve sleep quality and nervous system calm. And honestly, I think the mental stimulation of screens is often just as exhausting as the physical exposure. Our brains are consuming more information in one day than humans historically consumed in weeks, even years. Constant content, constant news, constant comparison, constant stimulation. And just think of our young people and what they are exposed to in terms of especially constant comparison. The brain never fully switches off. This is why quiet moments have become so important and actually something that's trending in many cities around the world. Young people searching for quiet moments in old Catholic churches that have been standing empty. It's quite interesting if you look at what's happening globally. So things like nature, walking, reading a physical book, sitting outside in sunlight, prayer, breath work, conversation without phones, cooking slowly together as a family, listening to music without multitasking. These things help regulate the nervous system and bring the brain back into a more grounded state. So, one practice I personally think is incredibly powerful is creating technology boundaries. So, here's some examples: no phones during meals, no scrolling first thing in the morning. Now, this is a tough one for most of us. No screens late at night, and intentional periods during the day where you disconnect completely. Even 20 or 30 minutes away from devices can feel incredibly restorative for the brain. Now let's talk about supporting the body nutritionally in a high stimulation world. The nervous system burns through nutrients very quickly under stress, and minerals are one of those things that are so important. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals for calming the nervous system and supporting sleep. Electrolytes and mineral-rich hydration are also incredibly important because stress and overstimulation can deplete minerals incredibly rapidly. Omega-3 fats support the brain and nervous system, and stable blood sugar is incredibly protective for mental energy and focus. So including more fats in your diet can be game-changing. And then protein-rich meals can help regulate neurotransmitters and reduce the energy crashes that many people experience from high sugar and processed food intake. And honestly, one of the most underrated things for mental fatigue is simply rest. Yes, real rest. Not just catching moments, not just one slow breath, not scrolling on the couch while your brain stays overstimulated, but actual restorative practices that allow the nervous system to feel safe and calm. These are things that we've forgotten about in our modern day life. And I think this is the bigger conversation we really need to be having, especially if you have kids. This is something so important, so foundational that you can set in place in your kids' lives. How do I live a life where I balance out this modern technology? Because modern life has normalized constant stimulation. And I tell you what, it shouldn't be the normal. That the human brain still needs rhythm, it needs stillness, it needs recovery, it needs silence, sleep, sunlight, nature, and connection. You don't need to fear technology. You just have to learn how to balance it in your life. So I think we need to become more intentional about how we use it. And if you're feeling like if you don't reply to that message, if you don't get back to someone straight away, that you are not living your best life, or that maybe you're not going to get that promotion, or people aren't going to think more of you, I think it's time to relook the way that you interact with your technology and what is most important in your life. So the goal is not eliminating modern life, but it's building enough healthy daily rhythms to help the brain and the body stay resilient within us. So today, why don't you choose one small shift? Put your phone on airplane mode at night or charge it in another room. I now have a little torch next to my bed if I need to get up at night. I used to use my phone, now I've got a little torch. Take a walk without headphones. Take a walk without your phone. Eat one meal a day without screens and maybe make that a family meal. Why don't you read for a few minutes before bed instead of scrolling? And why don't you spend 10 minutes in the morning in the natural light, grounding on the earth without your phone? These are just small habits that, if repeated, can make a significant difference. And you don't need to do all of them. Like we said, pick one this week. If you enjoy that, pick another one next week. Start having family conversations about things that you can all do and hold each other accountable for, so that you move forward with this as a family and not in isolation. Help your family understand why it's so important. And I promise you, one family meal without your devices, and you start realizing that you can actually talk and have conversation and actually enjoy being together, and then everyone's sold. So I hope you found this helpful. We really love chatting about brain health this month at Whole Healthy Me, and supported by the Harvest Table. We still have 15% off during this month for our brain health category. So why don't you go check that out online? I'm Kath from Whole Healthy Me, and it's been great to be with you today.